Okay, so you're here with us today because something's going on, and you know you can feel it. There's something weird happening in the U.S. government, and it's time for a closer look.
Absolutely.
And we're diving deep today into something that we found in a transcript from the Ring of Fire on YouTube,
Yeah.
and it has to do with this reported letter from the acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia to Elon Musk's team,
Right.
operating under the name Doge.
That's right. Yeah. The source material we're looking at brings to light claims that this Doge team allegedly tried to access secure government facilities. And the big thing here is that these individuals were reportedly blocked by government employees.
Right.
Because they didn't have the proper security clearances, which is like, the official permission slips you need to get into these sensitive areas.
Right, you would think they would.
You'd think so.
Just have that,
Yeah, I think so.
But
Yeah.
so this is where this reported letter comes into play. According to the YouTube transcript, this acting U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, this guy named Ed Martin,
Right.
allegedly sent a letter to this Doge entity.
Okay.
The basic message of this reported letter was, look, we will help you. We'll protect your work. We'll protect your people.
Wow.
And so there's some specific phrasing that we're going to look at here that is attributed to this letter in the transcript.
Okay.
The acting U.S. attorney reportedly said, quote, I ask that you utilize me and my self-staff to assist in protecting the Doge work and the Doge workers, close quote. And then it goes on to say, quote, we will pursue any and all legal action against anyone who impedes your work or threatens your people, close quote.
So this is where the analysis in the YouTube video, I think, really, is important for the listener to pay attention to.
Right.
The concern that they're raising is that this high-ranking legal official, this acting U.S. attorney, essentially the lead federal prosecutor for Washington, D.C., appointed by the previous administration, seems to be offering this protective stance towards a private entity, even suggesting potential legal action against those who might, get in their way.
Right, and the people who got in their way were government employees who were presumably just doing their jobs.
Yeah, these are the people that are like, in charge of keeping these places secure.
Right.
And making sure that only the right people get in. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, so what's fascinating here and what the YouTube commentator really highlights is this seeming lack of concern for, what are the implications of individuals without these clearances trying to get into these secure facilities.
Yeah, are they going to investigate that?
Yeah, like where is that part of it?
Are they going to look into that at all?
Right.
It seems like they're not.
It seems like all the focus is on protecting Doge.
Exactly. And, if we kind of zoom out a little bit here, the commentator's interpretation of all of this is really important.
Okay.
They're saying that the very entity that may have acted improperly is being offered protection by this top legal official, while the people in the government who were seemingly following procedures are the ones that might face legal repercussions.
Yes, just for doing their job.
For doing their job.
Right. It's wild.
It's crazy. There's this other quote from the alleged letter that kind of takes this even further.
Oh, really?
It says, according to the YouTube transcript, the acting U.S. attorney wrote, please be very aware that there are those who are acting against our American people in every way. Refer to as any questionable conduct or details that you find or notice.
Wow.
And the YouTube commentator really latched onto this as a suggestion that, the people who might question Doge's access or try to uphold security protocols are somehow acting against American interests.
Right. Like, it's almost like they're
flipping the script on its head. Totally. You know what I mean? Like, normally the government's trying to protect, its people and its interests.
With these security measures, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and so the reaction from the YouTube commentator to this reported letter is strong.
Yeah.
And they say that they're just at a complete loss for words.
Oh, wow.
Which indicates, a level of concern that goes beyond just, typical disagreements about policy.
Yeah, like this is something different.
Yeah, this is something different.
This is scary.
Yeah. And something else that adds to all of this is that there is a lawsuit.
For really?
Filed by citizens for responsibility and ethics in Washington.
Okay.
Or see or doing.
Yeah.
And this lawsuit reportedly questions the legality of the Doge entity itself.
So they're saying Doge might not even be legal to begin with.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And we're not just talking about one instance, one location. Yeah.
Nice.
They were in multiple government offices.
Oh, wow.
Including the Office of Management and Budget.
Okay.
The Personnel Office, USA2, the Treasury.
So this is like a big...
Yeah. Widespread.
This is not just like a one-off.
Right.
This is like systemic,
yeah.
you know?
And so given all of that,
right.
you know, you can understand why the YouTube commentator is using words like internal coup.
Yeah.
And it's not
scary.
just a political disagreement.
It's a fundamental challenge to how the government works.
Right. And I think it's so important for you, the listener, to understand that this is not just, you know, typical political stuff.
Right.
The YouTube commentary is interpreting these reported events as a much more profound issue at play within the U.S. government.
Right. And if we kind of pull it all together here, based on what we've learned from this YouTube transcript, we have a reported letter from this top legal official that is allegedly offering protection and potential legal support to this private entity, Doge. And this is happening in the context of Doge trying to access these government facilities without the proper clearances.
Right. They were stopped by government employees.
Yeah, exactly.
And then this letter was sent.
It's like a huge red flag.
It's a huge red flag. And the actions of the U.S. attorneys, you know, seem to be prioritizing this non-governmental entity over government employees.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And, you know, we have to remember that our deep dive today is rooted in this YouTube transcript.
Right.
And this is the perspective from which we are examining this situation.
Absolutely.
And so I think, you know, as we wrap up here, the big question to think about is what are the broader implications for the rule of law and the integrity of government?
Yeah.
If the people who are supposed to enforce the law seem to be prioritizing the interest of certain people
over, you know,
established procedures and the people that work for the government.
Yeah. And that is something that should really make you think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the foundations of our country.
Yeah.
And like, what does accountability even mean anymore?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Who can we trust?
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today.
Yeah.
Join us next time for another deep dive.